But the first thing that makes this one different than any of the other CMON area control games is that the theme of this one is going to be more focused on Arthurian legend. Players in this game will all each have their own unique asymmetrical faction, but each of the factions are going to have a unique deck associated with them that features their action cards, spell cards, as well as any combat cards that they're going to be using throughout the game. Players will be able to recruit knights and other units onto their team, but unlike almost every other area control game offered from CMON, players won't actually be able to control any monsters in this game, but you can influence them. And there are a ton of different monsters in this game, each with different abilities and effects, and they're going to be moving around on the map, causing those effects to occur on any of the regions that they happen to inhabit. The game features 3 primary leaders that are going to be leaving favor tokens on different regions of the map, and the primary goal in this game is to be the faction to gain the most favor from these different leaders. Along with the player's faction and action deck, players will also get their own personal player board, and this is another area that I think has a lot of similarities with Blood Rage, because it's going to be outlining your 3 main actions that are going to allow you to move around the board and put units out on the board. But then it also has areas where you can upgrade certain units of your faction. And players are going to be using those 3 main actions along with their action cards in order to perform their actions. But a really interesting aspect of this game is the way that the player order works, because the game also uses a rondel, and each player is going to have their own token on that rondel. And the active player is always the player who's furthest in the back, and performing larger actions is going to move you up that rondel further. So if you are taking smaller actions on your turn, it is possible to have multiple turns in a row. But as players are performing their actions and gaining favor towards each of the 3 leaders, you're actually going to be earning the right to gain their special abilities that you'll be able to use on your turn in order to take advantage of different benefits. Throughout the game, players are also going to gain opportunities to draw cards from the Fate deck, and anytime that happens, you're going to be drawing 2 cards from the deck, choosing one to activate immediately, and then the other one's going to get added to a deck that's going to be activated later in the game. Combat's triggered anytime that 2 factions are located on the same region, and combat is always just between 2 factions in this game, and the way that works is that each of your units are going to be bringing their own strength into that battle. But then each player is also going to be able to choose a battle card in secret that they're going to be resolving simultaneously. Each of these can have multiple effects, and the effects that get activated are going to depend on the units that you have in battle. Essentially, the way that this works is that you're going to be trying to gain the most swords and shields from those cards, and then each of those is going to allow you to eliminate one of your opponent's units or save one of your own. But there's one more really big thing about this game that makes it very different from any other area control game that I've ever played, and this happens to get triggered midway through the game once all the players have fully gone around the rondel one single time. And once this happens, all those fate cards that players chose not to activate immediately are all going to get activated at this point in the game. It's going to have a whole bunch of different effects, but not only that, it's going to flip over the board, extending it into a larger play area that has a lot more perils, but a lot more rewards. This is going to give players a lot more opportunities to use all the new abilities and advantages that they're building up throughout the entire game. But other than that, the game continues as normal with players performing actions on their turn and resolving any battles. And the end of the game is going to be triggered in one of 2 ways. Either when all the players have completely crossed that rondel a second time, or when all of a single leader's favor tokens have been completely distributed. And then at that point, the player with the most victory points wins the game. And if you do want to check this one out, I have links to the campaign in the description below.